Assalamu alaikum fam, hope you're doing fantastic. So in this concise presentation of Fiqh book, we're still in the section of, what you do around the funeral prayers, and there were some rulings here that were about how women should behave in times of difficulty. And it says here, one of the women who gave the pledge of allegiance to the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, from the matters that we pledged to the Prophet, peace be upon him, and from the matters that we vowed not to disobey him in, whereas he said to us, you will not scratch your face, well, tear one's garment, nor make the hair disheveled. And that was a hadith that was graded Sahih by Sheikh Al-Albani, and it was recorded by Abu Dawood. Now, the scratching of the face is interesting because some women can ruin their beauty and really go quite far, smacking their cheeks, shaving their head. Self-mutilation in times of crisis, you can see that display in many cultures. And what I found interesting was the disheveled hair. So don't let your hair become disheveled, nor you're not allowed to shave it. So self-grooming is important even when you're feeling depressed. Now, my grandmother and my mother were chronically depressed. They have a chemical imbalance, and this is from alcoholism and drug addiction, and I really feel like it's also a genetic factor, but there's still more science to be had on that. But my grandma, we would have to work with her to not let her hair become disheveled, and to really make her recognize the fact that she has to endure, and she'd be sad sometimes for things we didn't understand. Now she kind of has dementia, so taking care of her in another way is, also our duty, but she won't scratch herself or anything like that. But the disheveledness is important. Because today, you can see kind of signs of women cracking when they start to play with their hair too much. And some of the most depressed women, ironically, who I've met have pink, blue, green, or the fake gray hair. So they are purposely making their hair a silver gray. There was a trend of that for a while. So the non-natural colors usually can help you kind of see something a little peculiar here. And when I was sad a couple times, I dyed my hair too frequently. And then when I became Muslim, I stopped dyeing my hair because I remember in a video Mufti Menk says it affects permeability, and I really like my natural hair color. My hair is way more thick, healthier, shinier now that I don't dye it, and I save a lot of money by not doing that. But I recognize this thing in women where we speak with our hair a lot. And sometimes when a tragedy strikes, women, they start to get really down in the dumps in their feelings, and they mess with their hair. They feel like a change has to happen, especially when a breakup occurs. Women, when they have a terrible breakup, sometimes they have long, beautiful hair, they'll chop it all off. So we have to watch out for that. And as I mentioned previously, a lot of political activists have done reverse psychology on women and have made them want to shave their heads as a form of getting back at the patriarchy. You'll notice this, and some of the most craziest women who you'll meet have shaved heads. And this is different from the women of Africa who have naturally their own beautiful style of keeping their hair short because of the heat, and they have their own natural way. My stepmom, she was very beautiful, even though she wasn't very kind, but she had a very nice afro, and I couldn't imagine her shaving her head. But you can have a short hairstyle without shaving the head. So you always have to watch the people whom you love when they start making their hair shorter and shorter, when it's not a medical condition, because that's a sign that something is going on here. So by speaking about this, how when you make the Pledge of Allegiance, you vow to not disobey, to not ruin yourself and act a fool and lose composure. Very interesting. So it's really making sure that you are going to have patience, fortitude, and become this sort of pillar in times of tragedy, which makes sense because children, if they see this type of behavior, this is not good for them. You know, when you are little, you can see your, a tear come down, and you can see, like, by them having strength, I will have strength too. But if they don't have strength, you can sometimes feel like, oh, geez, I have to step up to the plate, or my mom is going acting a fool. This is important. Another thing that this made me think about, even though this is talking about at a funeral how you act, a lot of women, especially in the hoods, they're screaming all the time with their men, and the children see this sort of risen voice, violence, throwing things, locking the man out of the house, the wildness. The children see the wildness, the unhinged nature of some abusive females. It shocks them. It's so unhealthy. So this is like the reverse of that. If this is sort of the unhinged striking of the cheeks, ripping apart your clothes, putting dust in your hair, just like, ah! Like, this could really freak a kid out. Imagine you have a mother who also gets the aggressive route of throwing things, being loud and insane, and then also when things are sad, she's also insane and wild. So this is kind of showing how mothers, grandmothers, aunts, wives in general must act. Because imagine if your husband, he just lost his dad, and he's dealing with that burden, and then you're his wife and you're just acting a fool in front of the entire family. I mean, it'd be pretty, like, come on, It's really interesting because I really agree with this, It's really potent. Wailing. And remember that this was of the days of ignorance. So if you act that way, you're acting like the people in the time of ignorance. And that a Muslim woman is not supposed to behave in that way. Very valuable information. Maybe easier said than done. But in case we see a loved one slipping, we see another Muslim slipping, try to empower them in a way and help them have patience and extend your hand to lift them up and prevent them from doing that, and hide the clippers, and don't drive past the hair salon. You know what I mean? So, very interesting. What do you think?